please open your Sutra book. Turn to page 13 of the commentary. The fifth line of the important scripture passage text. Now, we will begin reading together from this section, now. When I attain Buddhahood, in the land where the radiant and boundless light of wisdom dwells eternally, all sentient beings without exception will hear and receive this precious Dharma, whether through direct teaching, by hearing the sacred name, or by other means. In our last discussion, we talked in detail about the land where they dwell, examining its unique features and the environment that shapes their way of life. Teaching and names as well. Within this, there are both individual human beings and the Dharma itself. The names of people. That is what we refer to today as the three sages of the West. Amitabha Buddha, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, and Mahayana Bodhisattva. These are the people in particular. As for the Dharma, it refers to the three Pure Land Sutras, which are highly regarded as the central scriptures in Pure Land Buddhism. The Infinite Life Sutra, the Contemplation Sutra of Amitayus Buddha, and the Amitabha Sutra spoken by the Buddha. In later generations in China, the great patriarchs and virtuous masters also thoughtfully and respectfully attached the chapter on the practices and vows, as well as the chapter on the perfect penetration of mindfulness of the Buddha by Mahayana Bodhisattva, to the end of the three sutras, thereby preserving and honoring these important teachings for future generations. These are what we now commonly know as the 5 Pure Land Sutras, which are important texts. If we add Vasubandhu Bodhisattva's treatise on rebirth in the Pure Land, it's actually Vasubandhu Bodhisattva's personal insights from practicing the Pure Land teachings. Whether it's theory, methods, or states of attainment, it's all very much worth our reference. So now, the complete set of Pure Land texts, in total, consists of the 5 sutras and 1 treatise. The names of the lands and teachings are all widely heard. This is the Dharma, as it is said, and it's the aspiration of Dharmakara, wishing for it to be universally known. This is explained very clearly in the outline. The true treasures are marvelous, the supporting treasures are marvelous, and the name itself is marvelous. The meaning of marvelous here is very profound. It truly is marvelous beyond imagination. I don't. If you haven't truly embodied this and deeply understood it, not just with your thoughts, but with both your body and your mind working together, then you really cannot hope to fully grasp or appreciate these 3 marvelous aspects in all their depth and subtlety. Amitabha Buddha is well known to have 3 distinct bodies, the Dharma body, the reward body, and the manifestation body, which are known as the spiritual forms, respectively. It's not just about upholding precepts and hearing teachings from afar. It's about truly embodying those lessons in our daily lives, making them a living demonstration that shines everywhere and touches the hearts of those we encounter. There's no place or time where it's not present. This is truly precious and wonderful. Although it appears to be in the land of ultimate bliss, this one world of ultimate bliss actually encompasses, contains, and receives all of the worlds of the Buddhas in the 3 times and 10 directions. That is, it includes every Buddha world. This is something the World-Honored One introduced and demonstrated for us in the Buddha Dharma about the various Buddha lands. But we can't see it. Only Amitabha's Pure Land is this extraordinary, a realm of unmatched purity and peace. All sentient beings in the world, regardless of their background or circumstances, on what basis can they hope to be reborn in the land of ultimate bliss, this supreme and wondrous place? It's all thanks to this single recitation of the Buddha's name. The great masters of old explained to us, among the 48 vows, which one is the most supreme. Gudedu affirmed the 18th vow. So, what does the 18th vow say? The merit and virtue of the Buddha's name is truly inconceivable. At the moment of death, even a single thought of faith and recitation can lead to rebirth there. That's why, actually, in Japan, there's what's called original vow nimbutsu. The idea isn't wrong. But can one really be reborn that way? In my view, not always. And why is that? Because it doesn't truly align with Amitabha Buddha's original vow. So, what's the mindset? It's taking chances, opportunism, seeking shortcuts. Like saying, you work hard at practice, but I just rely on the original vow nimbutsu. No need to be vegetarian or keep precepts. Do nothing. Hold this vow and reborn in Pure Land. This leads to a huge misunderstanding. So, who are the people that can be reborn with just one thought at the end of their life? If someone has never had the opportunity to encounter or come across the rare and precious Pure Land teachings throughout the entirety of their life, but only hears the compassionate guidance of a truly good teacher at the very end, and then suddenly awakens to its meaning, now that's the real deal. That person, that's what you'd truly call someone who turns back at the last moment. Even if they've committed bad deeds all their life, it's still possible. In ancient times, Zhongshanhe was the best example of this. Liv Tang dynasty. We should know he was a butcher making a living by slaughtering cattle. When he was dying, he saw many minotaurs coming to him and asking him how to escape. Fortunately, at that moment, he was still clear-headed and not confused. He started shouting for help, saying, "Help! How lucky I am!" Just as he was calling for help, a monk happened to be passing by his door and heard him. Hearing someone shouting for help inside, the monk went in to see what was going on. He was warned minotaurs wanted to kill him. The monk lit incense, gave it to him, told him to recite Amitabha Buddha, pray for rebirth in the Pure Land. He did so, and after chanting, the ox-headed demons disappeared and Amitabha Buddha came to guide him. This person's virtuous roots, blessings, and karmic connections for liberation all ripened in an instant. How could that even be possible? Now, have a think, when you're at the end of your life, will you be able to come across such an opportunity? If you don't, you'll still end up falling into the three lower realms. Fellow practitioners, understand that while relying on the original vow and reciting the Buddha's name makes sense, it's actually difficult. That's wishful thinking. If your intentions aren't genuine, you'll attract the consequences you deserve. If this were truly a great and effective method of practice, considering that Buddhism has been present and flourishing in China for well over 2,000 years, then surely the great masters, renowned teachers, and patriarchs of the past would have already taught and passed down this method to us. How could it be that we had to wait until Buddhism reached Japan, and only then have the Japanese pass this teaching back to us? How does that make any sense? So we need to be clear. We must honestly and diligently recite the Buddha's name, especially in this day and age. There's so much suffering in the world now. People everywhere are facing hardship, uncertainty, and pain in their daily lives. It's truly an extraordinary era, a time that feels deeply abnormal and unlike anything most of us have experienced before. People's minds are all really, completely out of sorts, so much so. Life isn't normal and people's behavior isn't normal. So, what kind of Dharma method should we use to achieve liberation? Lay Buddhist Xie Lianju. He said that, in this world today, we are here for this very reason. He carefully gathered and compiled the most authentic and reliable versions of the Infinite Life Sutra for our benefit, ensuring that we have access to the purest teachings. It is essential that we place our trust in this very sutra, as it serves as a fundamental guide for our spiritual practice and understanding. We need to truly accept it in both body and mind, and practice according to its teachings. Then we can be free. This is much more reliable and secure than just relying on the original vow to recite the Buddha's name. Everyone practicing together must remember this. You absolutely must not be greedy for convenience. There's nothing more convenient than this already. If you have a mindset of taking chances or trying to cut corners in any way, that's a deluded mind. How could you possibly be reborn in the Pure Land like that? Think about it again. In the Sutra on Rebirth, the Buddha tells us, what kind of situation does everyone who goes to the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss encounter? Every single one of them is truly a person of supreme goodness. If we are unwilling to cultivate goodness and still commit bad deeds, and then, at the end of our lives, just cling to this one line of the Buddha's name and expect to be reborn in the Pure Land, how could things be that easy? Although the Pure Land school does talk about being reborn while still carrying karma, the great patriarchs and virtuous masters have made it very clear to us, only old karma is carried over, not new karma. So, what is old karma? It's the karma you created in the past, in your life, before you heard the Buddha's teachings, or before you truly understood the Dharma. This kind of karma can, in fact, be carried over. It's not saying while studying and reciting, you can create karma and think you can take it. After searching through all the sutras and treatises, it is found that the Buddha did not say this, nor have any of the great patriarchs or virtuous masters ever said that. So, please don't misunderstand. These misunderstandings are really serious. After countless eons, it's incredibly rare to have this opportunity, and now that we've come across it, missing out because of such a misunderstanding, just think how unfortunate that would be. This morning, I encouraged everyone practicing with me to take a moment to truly set your intention, to reflect on your purpose and bring your full attention to the practice, and to follow the teachings faithfully throughout the session. Patriarchs and virtuous masters have taught to uphold precepts and recite the Buddha's name. Then we be confident of rebirth in Pure Land. In this sutra, the Buddha especially places great importance on upholding the precepts and reciting the Buddha's name. Look at chapters 32 to 37 of this sutra. It is such a long text that teaches us to observe the precepts and recite the Buddha's name. Chapters 32 to 37 specifically explain the 5 precepts and the 10 wholesome deeds. You see, the Buddha is truly, genuinely, and deeply compassionate. He set the standard for our practice at the very lowest possible level of the 5 precepts and the 10 wholesome deeds. If you can't even uphold the 5 precepts and the 10 wholesome deeds, you need to realize that, in fact, you truly won't even be able to gain a human rebirth in the 6 realms, let alone go to the land of ultimate bliss to become a Buddha. How could that possibly make sense? What about the 5 precepts and 10 wholesome deeds, then? Why can't people manage to do them? Firstly, it's because our afflictions and bad habits from countless eons are just too strong. You need to wake up. You have to get rid of these afflictions and bad habits. Chanting the Buddha's name in the Buddha recitation hall. With every recitation, you need to awaken your true nature. Always ask for blessings from Amitabha Buddha and all the Buddhas. To help us. Wake up from our deep-rooted bad habits and afflictions. Make a firm resolve, set a great aspiration, and from this moment on, forever leave behind afflictions. You really have to put it into practice. Don't get greedy when things are going well, and don't sink into despair when things are tough. The 6 senses give rise to the 6 sense objects, all seem clearly and distinctly. What's this state all about? The Buddha tells us in the Diamond Sutra that all appearances are illusory. Even the final verse of the Diamond Sutra is something we Pure Land practitioners shouldn't neglect. You must always remember, all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew, or a flash of lightning. See them just like that. Only then can you subdue your afflictions. If you go along with your afflictions, you following the path to the three lower realms, you following the cycle of rebirth, how could that possibly be all right? If you follow the Buddha's teachings, you can be reborn in the Western Pure Land of ultimate bliss. Honestly, it's not easy to come across this opportunity. Lay practitioner Benjikin said, "This is a rare and hard to come by karmic connection over countless eons, and we are very fortunate to have encountered it in this lifetime. If you come across it but can't grasp it, wouldn't that be a wasted chance? And if you let it slip by, the next time you encounter it will be after countless eons again." This shows just how incredibly rare and precious this opportunity is. To encounter this chance is to come across the opportunity to break free from the cycle of rebirth forever and to achieve complete enlightenment in this very life. Where else could you possibly find such an opportunity? How rare, how precious it is. Why do you lose heart? Why do you fall back? You don't have a clear understanding of this opportunity. You think that this kind of opportunity is very common and not rare. You don't know how to cherish it. That's why you're in this situation. The second factor is the temptation of the outside world. Temptations are huge. Compared to the distant days of our ancestors, the temptations we face in the modern world have grown exponentially, becoming thousands of times more powerful and pervasive than anything people in ancient times could have imagined. With such overwhelming forces constantly surrounding us, what real strength do we possess to stand firm and resist these ever-present temptations? How can we hope to maintain our resolve when the challenges are so much greater than before? The great masters of the past lived in a much simpler, more straightforward society. Even back in the very distant and ancient time of Shakyamuni Buddha. In the scriptures, the Buddha taught practitioners to choose a very pure and peaceful environment. Stay away from all the distracting noise. Keep well away from lively, bustling places. Therefore, Buddhism talks about staying with Ananda. What does Ananda mean? A place without disturbance or noise is called Ananda. Back in the old days in the countryside, people relied on oxen to help with plowing the fields. Oxen are really loud when they mow. Where practitioners lived, out in the countryside, you couldn't hear the oxen's calls. Is that what they used as the standard? So, you see, When Buddhism was introduced to China, it was already 1,000 years after the Buddha had passed away. When the teachings of the divine reached China, in ancient China, all those virtuous and knowledgeable masters, the highly esteemed, renowned and respected great practitioners, built their monasteries, temples, and secluded hermitages and retreats deep in the mountains and forests. The closest village, even the one considered nearest to this place, was still located at a distance of no less than 3 li away, making it quite far and difficult to reach from here. Abbeys in mountains. Why was that, if I may ask? Avoid social temptations as much as possible. So that we ordinary people could maintain a pure mind for a long time. That's the reason behind it. But what about now? Information everywhere, transport convenient. It's almost impossible to escape environments full of temptation. So what should we do? How can we maintain ourselves? Whether or not we can achieve something in this lifetime, that's the key issue. Especially now, with computers being so advanced, even for those practicing at home. Most households these days have a computer. In the future, computers will, without a doubt, become an absolutely essential part of everyone's life, in our everyday lives. You'll end up carrying it with you everywhere, unable to be apart from it even for a moment. It can show you all sorts of valuable and interesting information about the entire world, all conveniently in one place. About 99.9% of that information, which you encounter on a daily basis, is actually designed to be extremely tempting and hard to resist. It makes you feel greed, anger, ignorance, and arrogance when you see it. So, are computers good? I don't think so. To me, computers are like demons and monsters. Oh, you have to be friends with it. You can't be apart from it for even a moment. No matter where you go, as soon as you turn it on, it tempts you. Would you say that's troublesome or not? So even when we talk about studying the scriptures today, that bit of information is also put on the computer. But that's only 0.1 or even 0.001%. It's just too little, far too little. But maybe, for some people with good roots, they might stumble upon it by chance, come across it, but they need to have that good foundation.